Okay. Hi. If you're watching on demand, hi. Still watch live. It makes no difference. You're here now, so that's the main thing. But you won't be able to get involved in the chat, unfortunately. Probably read it, but it's kind of out of context, so isn't it? Anyway, hi, hi, hi. It's me, Tony Harmer, the Design Ninja. This week, we're going to be doing some more Neo stuff. I'm just waiting to see if everything is catching up on the left-hand side, and also determined this week to finish my coffee. Note to self, edit this out afterwards. Or maybe not, who knows? So, okay, hope you're all doing good. Caroline, hello, good to see you. Good, good, good indeed to see you. Fantastic. It's more Neo stuff this week, more messing around in Neo. So I'm going to hit create here to start off with. Let's get something started. And the first thing I'm going to do is just go to share and remove from community just for a minute. I don't want to do that until I've finished just at the moment. I'm also going to change the frame here to 1920 by 1080. That'll be my target output size. And then I'll turn that off. Yep. Caroline, I am very well. Thank you for asking. It's all good. Thank you. Tired, always tired, you know. Last week busy, but there you go. I streamed with Sean last week. I think you saw it actually. I think I saw you in the chat. Can't remember now. It was a whole week ago. Who knows? But there we are. I'm glad you enjoyed them. That's fantastic. I'm glad you did. It's yeah, it was a good laugh, and it was really a lovely surprise to see Sean come through the doors. I had no idea who I was streaming with, so great idea to see him, or great thing to see him. Just while I'm here, I'm just going to set up a couple of things. So I've just picked text at the top there, and it's going to grab hold of that text object, and then over here in the properties, change that to X, like so. Good stuff. And then I'm just going to go and click anywhere else to commit that. Zoom in on that, stand that up, bring it up to the top, and just going to copy that one, I think. Oh, I could duplicate it. So let's duplicate it. And I'll pick the first one and then rotate that around this way because that's the X axis just there. Bring that one forward. So you know what? I think I'm going to color this up. I'm going to color this red, like so. And this one I'm going to make green. Now I know there's already green in effect, but it's not this green. And I'm going to bring up one. Whoops, a daisy. That happens a lot. Old habit, muscle memory, Illustrator. So let's try that again. In fact, no, I was remembering correctly. I'm just going to spin this one around and make that blue, like so. There we go. RGB, XYZ. And then the only thing I need to do then, of course, is to change the text. Now, if I was actually lining these up, I should orbit really, just a little bit so that they're all done. But they're just for a bit of reference. So let's do Z on there and then target this one. Change that to Y. There we go. Okay, and then just going to pop that all back in place. And I think I'll do the frame all. Just brings all that in like so. And just orbiting. So just for the minute. There we go. Okay, but I'm just going to bring my frame back on for a moment. This is me just setting this up just for the minute. And what I'm then going to do is actually create, I'm going to turn that frame off again. And I'm just going to create a snapshot here of that, which I'm going to rename. Okay, and I'm just going to call that framed. There we go. So I've got something I can go back to. I'm surprised I didn't manage to get Oliver in this afternoon yet, but there we go. It's still early days, I guess. Right then, so I thought this week you can tell me, Caroline, what you prefer to see, car or rocket. You get to choose which you don't, car or rocket. You can choose whichever one you want, and just let me know. And I'll draw. Am I coming through all right in stereo this week? I've had to resort to the AirPods. Um, rocket. Okay, cool. I've had to resort to the AirPods because I can't change the audio on the big thing over there um, for recording reasons. And I haven't got any of the other mics set up. So there we go. Right. Okay. Rocket it is then. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to take us across to Illustrator to start off with. And going to create a new document. Just here like so. All right. Actually, I want to just create a new document, but change the profile. There we go. So I've got some idea of the size in relation to that. So I'm going to draw some rocket bits to start off with. I think I'm going to go ahead and draw rectangle like so. Okay, then I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to tap, it's not crazy at all. I'm going to tap P on the keyboard and just remove that point from the top there. And Shift and C. Okay, to get into the just anchor point. And you just bring that out like so. Something like that would be cool. Be even cooler if I get hold of this point here and bring that in. I'm just going to bend that handle out a little bit. Just there. Nice. That will work pretty well. I'm just going to use that profile there. This is, at the moment, pretty much the same way as I do it if I was making this thing in Illustrator. And then I'm going to just swap the fill and stroke over and actually get rid of the stroke. So let's get rid of that. So there's no stroke on there. Like so. Just change the fill color. Something like that. That's pretty good. I think we'll go with that. And the rocket's also going to need a fin. So I'm going to switch to the curvature pen sort of thing. Or actually, no, I'll just draw this. Just going to draw like so. And then just make sure that's got an appearance so I can see what I'm drawing. Very good. And do another one up like that. That's pretty good. And just draw those across. Deselect them. And join tool. Just get rid of the extra bits there. Perfect. The only other thing I think I want to do with that just for the moment, maybe just roll that around a tiny bit. That looks more stable to me. Bring that down. Something like that is good. I'm going to switch to the eraser tool. And I've gone into area mode, holding down the Option key. I'm just erasing that part there. Shift X to swap the fill and stroke colors over. And just going to copy this one just in case. Switch to the shape builder. Just join those two things together. There we go. Perfect. Although that said, I'm just going to undo that. I think I'm almost definitely going to keep a bit more of that shape, but I still want it to follow basically the contour of the rocket. So I'm going to offset the path, which I've set a shortcut for on my machine. That's pretty good as it is. And then I'll just punch that out there. Oh, wrong way around. Let's get both of those. We'll do the other thing again. There we go. Excellent. All right, that's starting to look rocket-ish, rocket adjacent. I'll just add a bit of color into that one. Right, so if I just save this and drop it onto my very, very busy desktop, on there. And then going to select that thing. So one of the things you can do in Illustrator to get things across into Neo is you can export as SVG, but you don't need to save the entire file as an SVG. You can add things to the asset export panel and set them to export as SVG. You can also just target an object and then go and choose the export selection option. Okay, I'm just going to call this fin, yeah, like so. It's going to go out onto the desktop. Maybe I ought to make a new location for this one that isn't quite as busy. Let's just go into there and do Neo Rocket, new folder, and we'll save that in there for everything we do after that. I'll leave the open location afterwards. I don't want it to create any folders. And then I'm just going to set this to SVG, which will turn off all of the other options just there because it doesn't need any scaling. Goomba, hi. And export. So that opens up in that location just so you can see it. There it is. There's the fin, like so. Okay, so let's go ahead and export the other element just here. So this one, again, export selection, give it a name. Actually, I'm going to keep calling it Rockety. That's really funny. It's going into the same place, export, and just check that out like so. Good. Right then, let's bring some of these things into Neo. Da-da-da-da. Oh, you only just got an alert. There you go. Oh, you just got an ad. I forgot about the ads being on. It's kind of difficult. I can pause them. It's kind of difficult to keep an eye on those on my own when I'm being assisted, which will happen shortly. Then that will be a lot easier. Okay. So just to show you here, what was the ad for? Was it anything good? I'm just curious now. If it was for some sort of competing product, I don't want to know. Anyway, just say, if it was, just say competing product. Ah, you skipped it. Oh, Asda. Oh, anyway, moving on. Sean, hello, mate. I was saying earlier to Caroline, what a lovely surprise it was to have you walk through the doors of the office last week and to be on the stream. I really, really enjoyed that, mate. It's great. It's good times all around. Right. Okay. I'll come back to you in a minute. Let me just tell you what I'm up to just here. So I have just been into Illustrator and drawn some shapes. I've then exported them as SVG. I'm glad you loved it, man. I did too, very much. Exported them SVG, and this time I did it by just selecting the objects and going to the file menu and choosing export selection, which is kind of good because it's just like adding them to the asset export panel because there they are. Who knew? Which is great because if anything changes with either of these assets, so let's just say I wanted to change the color of this one just temporarily, you can see that updates automatically here, and all I need to do is re-export and done. So if I change the whole color scheme for both things, so if I did that and then took the fin, okay, and did that, this is suddenly going to get a bit of Futurama just here, I think. Did that, you can see they both updated. I could then highlight both in there and then just export and the files will be updated. Now there's no link between them and Neo, right? Unfortunately, okay, but um, if you'd need to re-import, but that's still dead easy, right? Dead easy. Okay, the cubes here, so the thing on the bottom there is actually a cube. Okay, I'm keeping that in there, and I'm also keeping the white cube on top of it as well because they're good reference objects to have. I'm then going to use my orbit control on the top here to dial this around like so till it's pretty much in the middle. And just so you know, I'm using, in case you're thinking, well, why does it look so odd? That's because I'm using what's called a parallel projection, right? So it's like a parallel camera. Okay, isometric projection is like so. Okay, and perspective is like so. That's just like using another camera, but parallel. There we go. Right, so like I said, I'm keeping that cube because it's handy to have. I don't necessarily need to see it, however. Okay, I can always right click on that and choose hide that particular layer, or, and I don't think we got a chance to look at this over the last couple of streams, we can use the layers panel here, and you can see there's a small visibility icon just there that you can use as well. And this is also a good place for you to name your layers. I'm not naming these two things because I don't really need to for now. Okay, so let's go ahead then and import an SVG, and we've got that folder that I set up a little while ago. So let's bring the fin in first, and that's how it comes in, just like that. Okay, you can see, in fact, if you wanted to, you could probably work out exactly how that's working. But this is how it comes in. It takes the shape and it gives it some sort of depth in terms of extrusion. Yeah. Now you can change that using the controls here. So if I wanted to dial that down quite a lot, which I do, okay, then you can do that like so to dial that in. However, you'll notice that things like bottom corner is also working there and top corner is working there, just to give those things a little bit of rounding. And if I zoom in, you should see that rounding in effect. Can you see how the highlight there is soft? So, oops, I went and chose the bottom corner just then. I thought, why isn't that moving? There we go. So hard edge, and if I round that off like so, nice and soft, which is kind of good, right? Kind of good. Okay, so that's how that works by default. However, there is another extrusion method you might like. Now, you could also, by the way, build this inside of Neo, but you might have to do a few more steps. The disadvantage is that you've got a limit. If you go to editing, you'll notice there's nothing available there because it's not like one of the shapes that's not allowed, but one of the sort of primitive shapes here. So it doesn't have that built in. But if all you want to do is change the extrusion depth, perfect. Let's go ahead and import the rocket body just here. So rockety, like so. In that comes. Okay, let's bring that up so you can see it. Just there. Okay. And I'm just going to take that right down just for the minute. Then I'm going to roll this over. Okay, so it's pointing up in a more rocket-like direction. So I could do that either way, but makes most sense for me to hold down the shift key here. Okay, and then just rotate that around like so. What I typically do as well is go to this area here, transform, and just have a look at the numbers I'm getting there. Okay, I want that to be rotated um, by 90 degrees there, and I'm pretty sure that zero value was just a thing. Okay, so I'll leave that in the middle. So let's go back to the shape option just here. Okay, so the default for things you bring in is extrude, but we've also got revolve here. Now, if you've ever used the 3D effects in Illustrator, you're probably familiar with that. Okay, but if I just hit revolve, right, you can see how that is being revolved around. However, the problem here is it's being revolved around the wrong edge for me, and there isn't a way, as far as I know, for me to change that edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that shape, nip back into Illustrator, and then just flip this over like so. That update's just there, and it's highlighted as well. I mean, in fact, they both are, so I'll let them both do their own thing. Choose and replace. Okay, like so. Then I'll bring that back in, like that. Bring that up once more, and again, roll that around. I just like to double check with my transform. I mean, these very, very small numbers, not really likely to do that much to it, to be honest. I like them to be, it's one of the rare things that I like them to be round. And I'm going to go to revolve just here, and now you can see that how that's working, that it's taking that and using it as a profile. Now it's being offset here by a value, this distance value. You can see if that's pretty much maxed out just there. But if I take that in, like so, okay, a value like that of almost 1 seems to be working well for me. Yeah. You can also set up the rotation value there. So can you see that? I've now got a gap where it's being offset. So you can do that as well if you want to. But that's just fine as it is. It's going to undo that, I think. I'll use the control at the top here. Just make sure that's right. There we go. Perfect. Right then. So we'll raise that up like so. Just going to hold down the space bar and pan downwards. Then we can start to work on this one, which also needs to be rotated around. I think this time I'll actually type 90 in that field so that I know that it's done. Okay, and then change that direction. I'm just going to resize this using the widget for the whole thing. Okay, so you can see where that is. Then I'm going to go to the repeats section and I'll choose radial, like so. And then all I need to do is choose which direction I want that to go around. You can see as I choose each one how that's being rotated. I only want 3 copies of that, and it's actually 3, including the copy. It's not 3 copies, so it's 2 copies, but it starts at 1, so it's kind of crazy. Again, you've got a distance field just here, like so. And I can also rotate this around. So I've got the whole thing just there. And just undo that. And choose edit and then target one of these with the selection tool. Now I should. That's going to rotate the whole lot. So what I should have done then, perhaps if I just go backwards a second, it's weird. I managed to get that to work before. I'm going to rotate that to that angle there and then choose radial and dial that down. That is so weird. Let's just orbit around and have a look. Oops. Increasing, not decreasing. What I can then do then is change the distance. That's so strange. I've had that work before. I don't quite know why that's working differently now. This is very strange. Let's see if I get so what I might have to do is just roll that around. Yeah, it's not working. That's super fun. I don't quite know what's going on there. Mirror might do, Sean, but if we try that, it's going to work slightly differently from both sides because you need to. Do you see what I mean? I could try turning down the array steps just there. Let's try that down to. Yeah, it's still not cutting it. Let me just come out of this a second. I'm going to go to my files. Here's a rocket from earlier. Okay, and I need to drill down into this because it's grouped. So I think I've actually got a whole other rocket in here as well. There you go. I can tell that's a path object. Okay, I've rotated it manually in there. Yeah, I don't know what is up with the positioning just there. It's worked before. It's kind of strange. Anyway, I'm not too worried. I'm not worried at all, actually. So I think I'm just going to turn off for the minute the radial repeat just there. And I think I'm going to end up going and doing this manually. So if I duplicate it and then I rotate it around like so, move that over there, move these in a second. Trackpad. Kind of throws you when something doesn't work in the way you expect it to. But anyway, this will be all right for now. And I'll find out what is going on with that at a later point. There we go. Really super weird. And I can select all three of those. I'm going to use the uh, mini layer widget on the side there. Just bring those down where I want them to be. And I think for the purposes of what we're doing, I don't know about you, but I can live with that. I think. So strange though. So strange. I'm going to hide that layer just there. That's the only thing when you're working with beta stuff is that sometimes things change while you're actually working on them, which is interesting. Anyway, for now, that's just fine. Let's add something else at the top. In fact, if I go ahead, ooh, that actually don't know if I mind that or not on the distance there with the, there we go. I'll do that. And just have a quick visual check to make sure everything's still associated with it. Oh, you see that one's not. Fortunately, easy to, nor is that one. And if I go back to my framed view, yeah, so there's work to do there, but it's fine. What I'm going to do in addition is I'm going to go ahead and get a cylinder here and drop that on the bottom, and then just scale that down a bit. Let's go ahead and take that up to the top. There, like so. I don't think they're aligned. Change the color there to red and change it to color. And it's working anyway. It's fine. Good. The other thing I would look at here as well is in the position, 0 is pretty much the center of that. So I could always, if I really needed to, right, you can see in the position here, it's slightly different just there. So I could change that value 0, but that's of course the y-axis, so it's going to go up and down. Right, but there you go. But if you do want to make sure that the that things are in the right place, that's always a good place to go to. Da, 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 da. Oh, Sean's got to go. See you later, Sean. Opening Neo. Does that mean he's gone to play? Anyway, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and make something else. So what I'm going to do is make another cylinder using the point at the bottom. There, like so. Switching to selection. I love that the muscle memory from using other applications still cuts it in here. So like from using Illustrator and just thinking I want to select it, just tapping V. It's got an errand to run over this car. There we go. Just slightly larger than that main body just there. Still don't think that's quite on the money. It's not. It's not. I'm just going to move this just a tiny bit that way and orbiting around. I'm eyeballing that. In a minute, that's fine. I'm going to increase height just a tiny bit. Then I'm going to add a cube down at the bottom just here, selecting that. This time I'm going to change it bi-directionally, so I'm going to hold down the Alt Option key just to change both sides at the same time. Something like that is good. Let's put some color in here. Let's go ahead and put orange, something like that. It's nice. Let's get this shape just here, which will make that darker orange. What I could do is I could go ahead and copy this material and then paste that onto there and then just change the material. So if I want it to be slightly redder and just a shade darker, do that just there. Cool. Might actually edit that, zoom in on it, and then just change the corners. And like so. Zoom out. I find if you're using a mouse, you can do this. Mine actually thinks I'm using a mouse at the moment. If you're using a mouse, then you can zoom in and out with the center button. I just find it so much easier to do with a trackpad, but I'm completely converted to trackpad anyway. Make sure that I turn that off. Yeah, good. Okay, so let's grab this, and this is going to need to be shorter. So I'm just establishing some things first off. That's good. Now I'll go ahead and rotate that radially. Oh, let's go for the y-axis. There we go. And then change that distance. And not quite centered up on there, which is a shame. I might need to move some stuff around. It's quite interesting that they're not. I'm pretty sure they should be. Let's change the number of them. Got 10, 11 copies there. Oliver, hello. But just for now, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I want to get the thing built. So I'm just going to eyeball this, which is never a great way to do things. But what you have to do in here is you basically have to just keep going, but also be fast at orbiting around so you can just make minute adjustments until it starts to look about right. And I think that's fine. I'm going to make that a bit taller now so it goes up to the top there, like that. I think that's working. So now, for the purpose of what we're doing right now, That's absolutely fine. So tempted to roll that around a bit more. It needs to be further that way, but maybe not. Very Planet Express. You can see how wildly out they are. But anyway, let's go ahead then and add another cylinder. This time, okay, I want to go ahead and add this. I'll add it on the bottom and select it, move it up like so, make it longer, a lot longer. And I'm just going to roll that over that and then take that round where I want it to be. Something like that is good. There we go. That's working. I'm going to grab this shape here and copy the material. Go to that and paste the material. Then I'm going to add a hole, like so. It's kind of fun. I think I'll also inflate it. So that's going to round. If I zoom in and just change that angle slightly, hopefully you'll see this. Okay, so if I inflate this, it will make it larger, but it softens off all of the edges. Just there like that. So that's kind of nice. If I wanted to go for something that was very, very, just changing the whole width there, but that'd be kind of fun. I'm then going to duplicate that, Command D, which if you're not focused on Neo, of course, will give you a bookmark. So watch out for that in your browser. It's good shortcut to have, but perhaps not the best. Then I'm going to resize this one, okay, globally like so for all the sides. Maybe not quite as much as I'm doing there. Then I'll take the inflation away and I'll take the hole away. And to make that just slightly bigger. There we go. And then just change the color of that one. So go to the appearance. There we go. Something like that I think is pretty good. Ordinarily, right, I'd get this because that is just a shade too big. I'd hold down the Option key so it changes from the center and just bring that in a bit like so, and then repeat that with this one. There we are. So it's not quite as full on. I think I'm going to get rid of that base now, so I don't actually need it. And I can also get rid of my characters here that I put in just for the axes at the bottom. And I'm just going to make my way through and select everything here. So all of these elements. Smart money, I would actually go ahead and divide these things up into subgroups, possibly. Right, but just for now, I'm not going to. I'm going to group that. Okay, I'm going to go into my layer stack just here and rename it. And there's my rocket. I think I'll also, whoops a daisy, I'm going to go ahead and right click that here and duplicate that layer. Turn the layer visibility off for the one underneath. That's so fun. My bad. All right, okay. So that's hidden. I just want to name it rocket. Like so. Oh man. Rename. Da-da-da. Better. Back up. So I've got one. Should I need it at any point in the future? Remember, all of this stuff is vector information. Right, so not a huge deal, but it's nice to have something as a backup there. I think I've messed up that window. That's not in the center, is it? So I'm going to double click on that to drill down. Double click again. I'm going to target that and that, and then just move them in like so. Yeah, that needs to be scaled. I can actually change the depth here using this widget. There we go. Okay, that's more or less that's fine. Okay, then I can go ahead and get the whole group here and position that the way I want to position it. So something like that. Getting there. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the properties. I'm going to turn the frame on at the top here. So if I go ahead and do that, turn the frame on, like so. I'm then going to go ahead and go to my styles. I'm going to choose vector art. I'm going to change the color of the stroke here to darkish gray. Okay, and then change the outline thickness. Well, that's fine. I'm not worried about that little bit of shape in there. That doesn't really matter at all. I could also go to the environment here and change the lighting direction. So that's much more what I want. I think something like that is good. I'm just changing the height. You've also got an option here, by the way, for the shadow distance. There's nothing for it to cast a shadow on. So let's just have a look at that. I think that's an interesting shape. So once you've done that and you want to get it into Illustrator, what you then need to do is you first of all, okay, need to go to the share button at the top and then choose Center Illustrator. So it has to be in either the vector art style or the pixelated style for that to work. Okay, and so I'm guessing that if you were using the pixelated style, you'd be doing something that was in isometric, right? That's what you do, doing something like that. I'm just guessing, most likely. Okay, so now that that's ready, share then and send to Illustrator. Oh, that overlay, crazy. There we go. If you click it and you don't see this exporting bubble, just click it again. It does that sometimes. Remember, it's running in a browser, so that is the way it is. It'll then open another window in your browser and tell you that it's going to use Creative Cloud as the vehicle to get it into Illustrator. Okay, I dare say that in the future that will be streamlined somewhat, but at the moment, that's what it's doing. And then it takes it over and drops it in Illustrator like so. Okay, so you've got that rocket, really easy to do. I didn't pay that much attention to detail, I've got to be honest, as you know. And positioning, I was very laissez-faire about that. Right. But the main thing is for you to see how that's worked out. Now, there might be other considerations just here. Also, by the way, it takes on the file name of the Neo project. There might be something here that you want to change, maybe the way it's shaded. So if I go back to Neo, okay, I'll close the other window just there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that rocket, okay, and just so we can see what's happened, I'm going to rotate it around a little bit more. All right, so kind of want to change its direction completely. Getting that over now, like so. It is not easy to spin things in 3D space sometimes. There we go. That's much more closely aligned with what I actually want. There we go, something like that. But you can clearly see that's different to the other one. So with this group selected, because this is like an object level thing here, okay, what we can do is we can change the type here. So at the moment it's shaded. We've also got this option for split, okay, and this will change things about certain elements and how they're done. If I just go ahead and go for like the highlight color, for example, if I don't want that to be white, I can change the highlight color. It's not really having that much of an effect on that. Okay, and then the shadow color, how the shadows that are cast from it, not internally, not the right word, but for this particular one, but you can change how they appear. So if there was something underneath it that was receiving shadows, then you'd see that change. Or I could just do flat, like so. Okay, so you've got those options just there, and then you can change the color for whatever flat color you want. But because it's a group, it's not working on that. If I just add something else in, just for a moment, let's add something that could be seen as a planet. Let's go ahead and do that, make it big, and also send it way, way, way back, just there, like so. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to send it back still further, a long way from there. It might look like it's just going side to side. It isn't. It is going further and further back each time. In fact, if I went ahead and saved this as another snapshot, okay, and rename that. Look, snapshots 2 is just fine, actually, thinking about it. I can then roll this around and you can see, I zoom out, how much further back that actually is. Now I've done that, however, I might as well just drag it to where I want it to be and use my snapshots to return to snapshot 2. I want to see a bit of highlight as well. Let's take that back in. Double check that is not intersecting in any way, shape, or form. There we go. So if I now choose the split option here, I'm just going to change the highlight color. Okay, sorry, the body color. So that's the body color of the object just there. And you'll see this because it is working at an object level. Just multiple properties aren't done yet. Highlight color. So let's make that very yellow. Okay, and then the shadow color. Let's make that just weirdly, just because it will look weird. It's something like that. So essentially, this rocket is now flying past a giant refresher or whatever it is. No, rhubarb and custard. Okay, so something like that. Then I can go ahead and just share that again. And so once again, it will go. See, did you see this time? No export dialog, just there. No export dialog. I'll try it again. Send to Illustrator, and there you go. Now I've got it this time. That's no moon. It's not a moon. Very good. Star Warsy stuff. Oh, today's a long day, and I'm not even halfway through the day yet. My last presentation or meeting tonight, well, it's a presentation, uh, is at 11:30 tonight UK time. So until no, it's at 11 till 12:30. So that's super fun, huh? And there you go. You can see now it's updated. I've got a whole new document to work with. But then it is just a matter of playing with the shapes in Illustrator. That highlights a bit strange there. Um, but that's of no particular import. That can be messed with, okay, as much as I want to. Right, so there's that background. I could change that for something that's slightly more spacey. Interesting. There we go. The thing is, done it quickly. You've got loads of chance for adaptation. there. You have got tiny bits of artifacting going on in here, but I'm actually cool with that as it is, and I could fix that anyway. It's very interesting. It's shaded it that way. But all good stuff. There we go. You can go and make rockets now, and you've seen how Illustrator can interoperate. It is very late, and it is with the US. Yeah, it is. It's for the New Jersey InDesign user group. That's where I'll be spending the time where I should be asleep, and not for the only time this week. I fear. But there we go. That's how it works. So yeah. So no, I mean I could continue through. You can see everything there is grouped. There's my That's actually cool. Actually, let me just cut that. All of my strokes are here as well. So I've got all of that goodness. So if I didn't want the strokes, I could just turn those off. You could do the same thing, making rockets. It's not rocket science. I'm going to get you to be the technical author on my book. I did do a lot there in a small amount of time. The thing is, I also made a few mistakes in there, which is just tiredness, really. Um, but the idea is to show you that it is so fast to do that. So now, if I wanted to make changes and make that into another kind of graphic, there's nothing to stop me from doing that. Okay, if I just paste that thing in the back as well, there you go. So I've got all of that good stuff. And then because that's coming as a group, I could also do one of my favorite tricks, which is to add a new fill to the group. And in the appearance panel, take it down beneath the contents. Okay, I'm going to change the color to white here, like so. Okay, and then I could go to the effects, do path, offset path. So that, there we go. It's just working that out. I'm going to change the joins to round, like so. That will resolve a few of those extra angles. Mind you, those are kind of exciting at the back there. Instant t-shirt stuff. Yeah. And you've got that lovely vector outline, and all of that, of course, surfaces at different parts of the file. So you can see here that you've got that outlines just there. If I bring those up to the top again and just change, let's make them nice and dark so they're easy to see. And I'll bring their width back down a tiny bit. And any other things that I wanted to change. So I've got this weird artifaction going on just here with this shape there. That would just be a matter of getting something like the group selection tool, deselect everything first, dive in there, get that. I mean, it's probably got a function. I mean, there's some sort of shading going on just there. Uh, Bartholomew, hello. It was lovely to see you last week. So good. Very happy to have seen you. And there you go. Changed. That is fixed. It is at this particular point, okay, now just like any other Illustrator document. So any of the odd bits I wanted to do in here, that's actually making that more attractive. So I'm going to leave it as it is. And some of that will be caused by the path underneath. So you can learn about that as you draw things and bring them into Neo. It's kind of fun. You have caught it, Bartholomew. The only thing is, you've caught it in the last few minutes before I disappear. And winning, I've had another meeting to go to after this one, and I've got a whole load of prep to do for tonight. Excellent that I no longer have to do that. There is, there might not be a stream next week. I will, I am actually at another event, but we will have to just wait and see. I will try, but I can't guarantee it. For next week. But I'm not going to say no at this particular point. Okay, but there we are. Because it's so nice to be back. And there's a couple of bits I want to clear up there. Can you see that small dot? Definitely want to get rid of that. This is where the group selection tool comes in. So handy. So just clear that. What's that thing just there? That small outline. Don't know where that's coming from. Interesting. If you don't know where things are coming from, oh, there you go, fixed it. Here we are. I was going to say that if you don't know where things are coming from, here's my immediate action drill for things like that. Normally, I'll make sure I've got the whole thing selected, the whole group there. I then, to stop it from rendering slowly, I turn off the offset bar because that will slow it down, and then go into outline mode. Okay, so I can see all of the stuff. So if I didn't want all of this extra business here, this is a safe space. It's a safe space, okay, for me to go ahead and get something like the eraser tool and remove that, or the lasso tool and remove that there like so. Okay, so it's going to remove a couple of point paths on either side of that as well. But I use a tool from Astute Graphics here to join those two things up like that, and hopefully, oh no, it's connected to another path on the other side. So I've got a little bit of fixing work to do there to make that work. Might as well do that. I've got a few minutes. So I'm just going to get the lasso again. Basically going to get these bits here and delete them. And I'll join up that path. I do love the wobbliness of this. Wow, that's interesting. I'm not going to join them in that way. I'm going to switch to the pen tool. And I'm going to join them just there and wing that around a little bit. There we go. Something like that. Yeah, so now I need to get in and work out which paths are connected to which pieces. Another way that could probably be resolved really quickly would be to turn that into live paint. Okay, and then you could get in there with the paint bucket and fix those areas pretty quickly in most cases. And just expand that. And typically, if I was making this sort of production ready, after I cleaned all the bits up, which frequently involves live paint, I then go and use this, the merge pathfinder. Okay, and that resolves all of those things. So you can now see that's a much cleaner file. Another thing I use as well is again from Astute Graphics, and that's Vector First Aid. I normally do check selection. It will tell me what's up with there. 3,244 unnecessary handles. Fix all of those things. I then run it again because sometimes the fix, there you go, until I get no issues in the selection. Sometimes the fix, because of what it's doing, causes another smaller problem somewhere else. But there you are. And Bartholomew is a big fan of the wobbliness as well. Bartholomew, I've still got my Dertoni award just here. There you go, from last week. There's my Dertoni. Anyway, do you know what, Oliver? I'm going to make sure a stream runs next week. It will be interesting. You'll see why when we get to it, but let's do it anyway. All right, fantastic. Thanks everyone for joining. Really lovely to see you. But that's it for now. Take good care, and I will see you next week. Bye.